Fresh fruit in my blender, pinch of ginger, great blood cleanser. It's the art of good nutrition. No graveyard inside the kitchen. Low salt, no hypertension. No junk food goes in my engine. Strictly fruits and veggies, beans and seasoned nuts and berries pimping. No dairy milk I'm pouring. It's just water, honey, almonds. Wake up early in the morning. Give thanks, baby, slice of orange. Drink water, stay hydrated. My health, I won't violate it. So thankful for my lady. Vegan mashed potato gravy. She made it with lots of love. You got them pots on fire, baby. Faithful to my dialogue. When we fast, I like it raw. Coffee causes high cholesterol and makes you feel.
My name is Shawn Garcia.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a fitness director for New York Sports Club. So basically I develop trainers and teach trainers how to be trainers.
Okay. How did you used to eat?
Well, before I adopted a plant-based diet, you know, I grew up, I'm Puerto Rican. I grew up in a typical Latino household where, you know, you eat pork chops, rice and beans, chuletas, you know what I'm saying? A lot of pork, a lot of chicken, a lot of pasta, a lot of rice, a lot of beans. You know, the typical Latin diet. You know, it was always, that's how it broke down. You always had meat on the table, and you always had your portions of rice and whatever else you would mix with it.
Okay. Why did you adopt a plant-based diet?
Well, I've been a vegetarian of some form for about, it's been 14 years now. Is it 14? Like 13, 14 years. I've been practicing plant-based nutrition in some form, and obviously, like everything in life, it's evolved over the years. So, you know, I started out just kind of cutting the meat out of my lifestyle. Then, you know, as I learned more about nutrition, I learned more about my body. I started eliminating things like dairy, and I started, you know, bringing more like healthy salads and greens into my body. And now, you know, I practice a form of plant-based nutrition where I'm getting a lot of produce, a lot of fruits, a lot of nuts, a lot of whole grains. You know, in my body, really strict. I try not to do any, you know, dairy. I try to limit that as much as possible. I try to cut out soy as much as possible. And I initially made the transition when I was younger. You know, I was a teenager, but I made the transition because, you know, I just saw a lot of unhealthy folks in the neighborhood I came from. I come from East Harlem, so, you know, typical working class neighborhood, just a lot of obesity. I saw a lot of people who were in their 20s and 30s who just didn't look like they were in the greatest shape. So I just decided to make a change with my lifestyle, and I started with, you know, what first started, you know, just me trying it out to actually me adopting a lifestyle.
Okay. What changes have you felt in your body since?
So, I mean, it's been a long time since I've eaten meat, and you know, the majority of my life I've been practicing plant-based nutrition. So it's hard to say what changes I've felt, but I definitely know that when my diet is really clean and I'm getting in all my veggies and fruits and nuts, and I'm just really strict with it, my energy is really high. I just feel like my body is always ready for action. You know, I'm a very physical person. Obviously, I work in the fitness industry, so, you know, I always feel like, you know, I'm never exhausted. I sleep well. You know, everything in my life, you know, I never feel like a burden because I ate something and I'm like, oh, you know, I feel nasty. You know, I always feel like when I eat something I'm rejuvenated. So I've definitely, I can't really say I feel changes per se, but I definitely can identify when I'm eating good and how I feel, and and I love it.
Okay. So what's your diet like today?
So yeah, again, you know, I focus primarily on produce. So I eat a lot of salads. You know, in the morning, I'll usually start the morning off. On a good day, I'll drink, you know, tea first thing in the morning. You know, organic tea, some kind of, you know, green leaf tea or something like that. Just to get my metabolism working, get my blood flowing. Then I like to go into a smoothie, you know, a lot of fruits. I try to keep the base with something like almond milk, or just keep it straight up fruits and water. And then, you know, lunchtime, you know, I'm going with a big salad, or, you know, in the salads I can get, you know, I can mix it up and I can put, you know, nuts in there, fruits, I can put avocados, I can put, you know, cucumbers. I just get crazy with it, and put tons of stuff in there. You know, trying to keep it real clean though. You know, I'll eat meals with, like, I'll eat millet, and I'll eat a lot of whole grains like couscous. It's kind of hard because, you know, being in the hood where I live, it's, you know, you only have access to certain things. So I try my best. You know, I try to stock up on things in the house to make sure that I'm eating good. For dinner, again, I'm usually doing some kind of whole grain, some kind of vegetables, some steamed vegetables. You know, I could do a smoothie and some more tea at night. But really, you know, on a day-to-day basis, when I think about how I'm going to prepare my food, I think of it more as, you know, how am I going to, you know, give my body the right nutrients, as opposed to, like, every meal trying to look for, you know, some, you know, kind of relief, some stress relief through food, which I think a lot of people do.
Okay. What's your biggest obstacle in practicing your diet?
So, I mean, the obvious stuff, right, I guess the two things. The first one is obviously, you know, being an athlete. People are always challenging the way I eat. Where are you going to get your protein? Do you have enough energy? Do you get enough calories? Right? People think of vegetarians, they think of, you know, real skinny and, like, weak people. So obviously I'm always debunking that myth by just, you know, hitting higher goals than my peers and just achieving things that they couldn't even imagine doing. You know, on a plant-based diet, I do it. So those are easy to debunk. I would say, though, the real hardest hurdle is, again, coming from the neighborhood I come from, living in a working-class neighborhood. The lack of access to certain foods is truly the hardest challenge. You know, figuring out on a day-to-day basis where I'm going to get my next meal, you know, to keep it healthy is really something that, you know, I'm constantly debating. You know, obviously I've gotten better at it, but I definitely, in the beginning, as a teenager, being the only vegetarian in my family, being the only vegetarian in my neighborhood, getting no respect for being a vegetarian, people were always like, oh, you know, what can you eat? So it was really hard at first, but, you know, I stuck with it, and now I've learned ways to really manage, you know, how I shop and where I shop, and making sure I get the good things in my house and stock up, so that I'm not worried about, you know, going into the local bodega at night and getting some unhealthy snack. But that's definitely the hardest, you know. Being a vegetarian is not hard, but society makes it hard on trying to use this alternative.